we'll do a quick chocolate check. Make sure I don't have any chocolate on my face, and we're good to go. Let's do this. So it is quite a dreary day out, which feels kind of similar to my mood. Last week I did a whole video on gratitude and how amazing the prednisone experience was for me, being on 20 days of prednisone to give me physical energy. And yeah, since then I've been pretty not feeling great. I think I was still on a little bit of prednisone energy, and so now I've like fully crashed out of that to the point where on Saturday it took me all day to do my morning routine. My physical therapy, my lymphatic drainage stuff, like my morning routine should not take me all day. So that should tell you where my level of energy is right now. And I was going to finish editing a kitchen vlog that my dad and I did, like a cooking vlog. I don't have the energy for that, if I'm being real. I woke up with a horrible headache. I have slept for most of the day up until this point. I need an easy to edit vlog, and so here we are. But I'm incredibly excited for today's vlog topic. I have wanted to talk about the 7 types of rest for so long, and so finally I was like, you know what? Today feels like a good day. I'm really tired. I need all the types of rest right now, and so I want to get into this topic. So I have my phone here, I have notes. So the 7 types of rest, I first heard about it from a TED article, you know, like TED, the big, what are they, lectures? I don't know, the big talk company. And they published in 2021 an article called The 7 Types of Rest That Every Person Needs. And I never heard of the different types of rest before. And so I am going to recap some of their ideas and then talk about how I personally do the 7 different types of rest. So most people have heard of physical rest, right? So that's when you physically rest your body. They further break it down into passive rest and active physical rest. So passive physical rest to them is like sleeping, napping. What I did this morning until 1 p.m. I literally got up, went downstairs, went on the couch. My mom was like, you look like you need another nap. I had taken some headache meds, and I was like, okay. And then I just slept for 3-4 more hours. It was bad. So anyway, I did that today. But active physical rest, they say, means like restorative activities. And I will link this article down below so you can read more in depth. I'm just kind of taking the parts that I like and that I use. So restorative activities such as yoga, stretching, and massage therapy, which helps to increase the body's circulation, flexibility. So for me, my acupuncture, I would say, is an active physical rest. I do a lot of stretching, you know, I do kind of massage stuff like lymphatic drainage stuff, some like qigong stuff and tai chi. So these are some examples of what I do. Again, would love, like, as we're going through these different types of rest, if you want to comment below the different types that you do and that you use, please let me know. Also, if you hear that noise, that's a sound cannon to scare away birds. So it is not on our property, but it echoes in the whole valley. So enjoy. It's not a gunshot though, so it's fine. All right, mental rest is the next one. So they encourage people to schedule short breaks throughout the day, like every 2 hours or so, reminding you to slow down. For me, since I'm not able to work and I'm not doing a lot, I basically, so say I'm editing this vlog, right? That's the form of my work. I will need to take breaks every so often when my brain just starts to crash and I know that I have reached the limit in that amount of time. And if I keep pushing, it will not be pretty. In fact, I will start to feel worse and worse and sick and sick and sick and sick and more sick until I just can't do anything for the rest of that day. Now, if I take mental rest breaks where when my body says, you know what, we need a break, and I say, okay, that's fine. Let's watch a YouTube video or whatever that break, you know, looks like to me, then I'm able to come back maybe in 15 minutes, maybe in an hour. Who knows? I try to really listen to my body with this one, and then I'm able to keep working a little bit longer. Now, the next one is sensory rest. This is huge for me as someone with autism who gets overstimulated very easily, and I think a reason why I've been having a headache every single day. And I keep waking up with the headaches, which really sucks because it impacts my sleep. I think a big part of that has been overstimulation and sensory overload, unfortunately. So stuff like bright lights, right? Computer screens, background noise, hearing conversations happening. I can't even deal with any of that. So for me, it's usually scrolling on my phone, watching something with sound. So sometimes when I scroll on Instagram, I don't listen to sound at all because it's just overstimulating for me. So they talk about including intentional moments of sensory deprivation can begin to undo the damage inflicted by an overstimulating world. I agree with this. Like, I was just kind of closing my eyes earlier, but my mom was really encouraging a nap, and then I ended up going to a nap. My body apparently needed that. So closing your eyes every once in a while. So I do something called free thinking time, where I will just like put my phone away and just kind of sit there or lay there or whatever and just let my brain think about whatever it needs to think about. And this is like really important for me with the sensory rest, but also like the mental rest too, because whatever my brain needs to think about, it will go there and fulfill its own need with that. And so free thinking time for me is just really important, to not like force my brain to think about something, just let it do whatever and not be in front of a screen. Creative rest is next. So I really like this one. It talks about creative rest reawakening the awe and wonder inside of each of us and just allowing ourselves to take in the beauty. It talked a lot about nature. So if you do have the opportunity to go for a walk in nature or look outside at a tree, or there was this whole study that came out recently about water, even just looking at a picture of water, even on our phone, can really help our anxiety and stress levels come down. It also talked about enjoying the arts, so like turning your workstation into a place of inspiration with whatever that is. So for me, I'm really inspired by quotes. So for example, my phone background on touch, it changes, and so there's a lot of inspirational quotes there for me, so that's really big. So yeah, I think thinking about how you can incorporate that creative rest into your life, how to be inspired by things, to go for a walk. Like, walks have been proven so much if you're able. I'm unable to take walks, but if you're able, that just allows our brain to think about things, and a lot of writers and a lot of artists and stuff come up with some of their best ideas during a walk. So I think that that's a really great way to rest. Now, we have 3 left. The next one is emotional rest. So that means having the time and space to freely express your feelings and cut back on people pleasing. I hadn't even thought of this one, right? Or just like if you're in a really emotional period in your life, or there's a lot going on, allowing yourself a break from thinking about all of that has been really big for me. Like, if I have a huge health decision to make, allowing myself a break from constantly thinking about, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? And just taking a break from the emotions, right? Whether that's journaling. So for me, I was going through a lot of this, being like, oh, journaling to me is rest for this, and this category. So I usually journal out loud. So I will just free think and just talk into the microphone, basically just dictate to my computer. And that's been so helpful for me to just kind of unload. So for me, emotional rest, a form of emotional rest, is literally just me journaling and just unloading, getting stuff out, either talking about something and thinking it all the way through, or not talking about it at all, talking about other things. And they say that emotional rest also requires the courage to be authentic. We know how much I love authenticity here. An emotionally rested person can answer the question, how are you today, with a truthful, I'm not okay, and then go on to share some hard things that otherwise go unsaid. I'm working on that. My autism, I have a lot of people-pleasing tendencies, and a hard time setting boundaries. So that is definitely something that I'm working on. Also, sometimes when people ask, how are you? And if I say I'm not okay, I just feel like I want to start crying. And sometimes I just don't want to get into that, you know? So I'm not sure how much that's necessarily true sometimes. Sometimes it's okay to just be like, you know what? I don't want to get into it right now, and that's okay. Now, second to last one is social rest. This has been really big for me recently. So this occurs when we fail to differentiate between those relationships that revive us from those relationships that exhaust us. To experience more social rest, surround yourself with positive and supportive people. Another way to look at it is to just not be social at all and rest from social encounters completely. With my autism, that is a huge thing. Sometimes I just need to go into my room, close the door, and have nobody talk to me for a long time and just recalibrate my social battery. But I think that this is so important, and this is something I'm really trying to do. Like, while I was on the prednisone, I was actively taking notes on which conversations poured into me and poured into different parts of me. Maybe they poured into my creative part, like we're having a conversation about something creative, or a conversation that poured into all the parts of me and just felt like it revived me and I felt incredible all around. I was really trying to take stock of how does this conversation make me feel? How does this person make me feel? Maybe it's just on this given day. Have I had conversations with this person before that have either drained me or made me feel incredible? So I was really trying to take stock of that. This last one is called spiritual rest. So they say the ability to connect beyond the physical and mental and feel a deep sense of belonging, love, acceptance, and purpose. Purpose is huge for me. To receive this, engage in something greater than yourself and add prayer, if you want, meditation, love that, or community involvement to your daily routine. I do kind of some meditation stuff. I do some breathing exercises. And I think that big part of like acceptance, purpose, belonging, love, all of that is so important. So even if you don't consider yourself to be a spiritual person or a religious person or whatever, I think looking for that community involvement can be really important. When I used to be able to volunteer all the time, I loved being involved in the community, and I would do as much volunteering as humanly possible because it gave me that sense of purpose and belonging, and you felt the love. Finding ways to do each of those things. These are all examples of like a wide selection of ways to engage in these types of rest. Like I gave some examples of what I do for these types of rest. I think finding what works for you, because we're all so different, right? My chronic illness plays a huge part into these different parts of rest, of which ones I need much more rest in and which ones I don't need as much in. Also like people's jobs, right? If you have a super creative job, then you might need to have a huge rest from that when you come home. Like it's just all so interesting. My autism plays a huge part. Sensory rest is super, super, super important for me, and social rest. And I'm really trying to prioritize those now that I've been diagnosed with autism. So I think these are just really interesting things for us to think about, because like before I saw this article, I had never even known or thought that there were different types of rest and what that could mean for me. So yeah, I just really wanted to share the 7 types of rest and to give examples and to get you thinking about them. Like I said, please comment below what this makes you think of. Do you do this already? Had you heard of the 7 types of rest before? What are some examples of what you do in maybe each type of rest, or just choose a category and write some examples down, because I get super inspired by that. But yeah, I'm gonna go. I need to edit this vlog, but my headache is really bad still. The thing about having chronic illness is that you can push through almost anything and like pretend to be normal, for me at least, and it's just really tough because I'll be on the couch for the rest of the day. This was the 15 minutes of me acting normal, and now I'm gonna go feel really bad. So I'm gonna go try to edit this vlog, although I still have so many other things I need to do. So now we just get back into the part of me feeling super overwhelmed by life, because I was on the prednisone, I was getting stuff done, I could be social with people because I had physical energy, and now I don't. And so every single task takes so much, like my morning routine. I haven't done any of my morning routine today. And like I said on Saturday, it took me all day, and that just sucks. And so things start to fall off again. Like I start to not respond to people's text messages because my health comes first. If I have to do health stuff, I need to get that done. So it's just like really hard to live a well-rounded life with chronic illness. If I just had more energy, it would be so much easier, but I don't. And so then you have to start picking and choosing what you do and thinking about the different types of rest and what you need in each moment. And even that's exhausting, to constantly be checking in with your body, being like, what do you need right now? And sometimes it doesn't even know. So I'm gonna go, friends. Thank you for listening to this video. I hope it was interesting, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.